My fiancée tried to convince me her affair was just a test, but I decided to walk away for good. Here's how it all unfolded. Yesterday, we met at our wedding venue for the final details meeting. As we were just 4 months away from our big day, we arrived separately because she was coming straight from work. Near the end of the meeting, she mentioned that a friend needed a ride home after returning a rental car and asked if it was okay if she helped out. I didn't think much of it since we lived nearby, and I knew her friend well. Later that night, I tried contacting her for 3 hours but got no response. After 5 hours, I texted her friend to see if everything was okay. I was genuinely worried. Eventually, my fiancé got home and casually said, "Sorry it took longer than expected. I hung out with my friend for a bit before heading back." I told her it was fine but asked her to keep me updated next time. However, minutes later, her friend texted me back, saying, "Sorry, I couldn't make it to the venue. You didn't see your fiancé tonight." Confused, I confronted my fiancé, asking why her friend would say that. She brushed it off with, "I can't control what my friend says," and then stepped outside. Feeling uneasy, I did something I had never done before. I checked her phone records. I noticed she immediately called that same friend after going outside and saw a lengthy call with an unknown number before she headed to the venue. I decided to dig deeper, asking her about the rental place and throwing in some other questions. Her answers were smooth and believable at first, so I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid and decided to sleep on it. The next morning, I asked her to show me the message from her friend asking for the ride, as I wanted to apologize for being suspicious the night before. She refused. I then mentioned seeing her on the phone on the way to the venue and asked who she was talking to. She claimed it was the same friend she supposedly picked up. That's when I knew she was lying. I told her I had checked her phone records, and she immediately changed her story, saying she had met up with a coworker to discuss a patient. I pressed further, asking why she couldn't handle this over the phone. She said she had to show him some techniques in person, and that his name was Michael. At this point, my doubts were solidifying. I asked to see their texts, but she refused again. I asked if she was having an affair, and her response was to criticize me, listing everything wrong with our relationship, how I work too much, don't spend enough time with her, and don't listen. This was all news to me. After pushing her for a while, she finally showed me the messages. They were explicit and full of discussions about me and their budding relationship. She had only started this job a month and a half ago, and this coworker was significantly older, divorced, with kids. I was stunned. I had been financially supporting her, working extra hours so she wouldn't need a part-time job. We lived together with 3 dogs and a horse, and we were supposed to get married soon. I couldn't believe this was happening. I'm at a loss for what to do next and would appreciate any advice. Update 1. I sat down with her that night to discuss everything. She initially blamed me for her actions, saying my lack of communication drove her to cheat. She claimed if I had been more attentive, she wouldn't have felt the need to talk to someone else. I explained that my extra hours at work were to support her, but she said she would have preferred getting a part-time job herself, which made no sense to me. She then tried to downplay the affair, saying it only lasted a week and that they had only kissed once. When I brought up the explicit messages where she criticized me and talked about her feelings for him, she deflected. I told her trust was broken beyond repair and that she should have communicated her feelings to me instead of seeking comfort elsewhere. We discussed our next steps, what to do with the house, whether I'd buy her out or if we'd sell it and find separate places. We also decided how to split our pets. She would take 1 dog, and the other 2 would stay together. She plans to take the horse and board it at a barn. Update 2. 3 days later, we had a long, 3-hour conversation about what led to the affair. She began by listing all the issues she had with me: lack of communication, me spending too much time working, and being glued to my phone. While I can't deny those points, my focus was on financially supporting us. I run an e-commerce business on the side, so I'm constantly working. However, I acknowledge that I could have been more present and better at setting aside time for us. She admitted she didn't bring up her unhappiness because she feared I would get upset, so she never gave me a chance to fix things. I'm not perfect, and sometimes my words come off as insensitive. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I tried to help her with budgeting due to her financial struggles. I'm in finance and do this for clients all the time. She had mentioned owing me around $1,000 and planned to repay me with her next paycheck. I realized the breakdown in our relationship was on both sides. But her decision to cheat instead of communicating her feelings was something I couldn't forgive. Now, I'm left trying to navigate the aftermath of a broken engagement and what to do with the life we had started building together. I said something along the lines of, "I think it's a bit more than that. Let's review the transfers I've made to our joint account." The total came to over $5,000. My intention wasn't to make her feel bad but to show her how much I've been contributing to our life together. However, she interpreted it as me trying to humiliate her. In hindsight, maybe the timing wasn't ideal, but I was only trying to help. She accused me of being too focused on money, but my only concern was making sure we were financially secure. We still had a lot of wedding expenses to cover, and my budgeting mindset was working overtime to make sure we had enough. What really bothers me, though, is how she keeps justifying her actions by pointing out my flaws. She keeps telling me how surprised she is that I would throw away 7 years of our relationship like this. I keep reminding her that it wasn't me who ended it, it was her. Through her actions, she also said I told too many people too quickly and that we could have resolved this between the two of us. She insists she wouldn't have sought comfort from someone else if I had been a better listener and communicator. I've now pieced together the timeline of the affair, and based on the texts I found, I actually believe her when she says it didn't go further than making out. They started talking a week or two before and even met up at a park to play basketball and talk. She insists he's not her boyfriend, but I'm sure it was only a matter of time before it would have escalated. Tonight, she left again, and I have no idea where she is, probably with him or maybe with a friend. The situation in the house is awkward, but I'm hoping this will all resolve soon. I do think she wants to try and fix things, but I've come to realize the main issue was a lack of communication that grew into something bigger over time. We fell into a routine, and instead of discussing our issues, they festered until they became irreparable. Instead of talking to me, she lied to my face and spoke poorly about me behind my back. She can be very sneaky, and I don't think I can ever trust her again. While getting back together might seem like the easy choice, I don't believe I'd be truly happy. Understanding the root cause of everything has helped me feel more at peace. At least now I can reflect on my own flaws, my communication, for one, and I can see things from a different perspective. I started going to the gym today and plan to stick with it to improve my physical and mental health. I've also decided to get back to studying for my CFP designation. I took the week off from work to focus on my well-being. I called the wedding venue today to officially cancel the date. We managed to get some of our deposit back, but we'll lose a portion unless they can resell the date to another couple, which seems unlikely. I also called her parents to keep them in the loop. They live far away, and I'm sure they're worried. I reassured them that everything is calm and that there's no need to worry about their daughter. I also looked into current interest rates and realized it would be difficult to find a comparable house for the mortgage I'm paying now. Even an apartment would cost more. I think my best option is to buy out her share of the house and let her find a new place. She seems agreeable to this, and we're going to have an appraiser assess the house's value to see if that's feasible. So, I'm wondering, does this change how you see things? Am I handling this the right way, or should I be doing something different? Update 3. It's been nearly a month since all this happened, and I owe you all an update. It's been a whirlwind month, full of emotion and personal growth. Honestly, the first few days after everything came to light, I was a wreck. I can admit it now. I was desperate to fix things, trying everything to get back with her. It's embarrassing, but it was part of the process of moving on. In my vulnerable state, I did whatever I could to make things right, but nothing worked. Eventually, she told me she had to choose between me and him, and she chose him. That's when it finally clicked for me. I had let my self-worth deteriorate. I had to step back, focus on myself, and make decisions that were best for me. It's been tough, especially after 7 years of always putting someone else first, but I'm learning to prioritize my needs. I moved our joint savings into my personal account, calculated what she's owed, and transferred half of it back to her. I've been working out every day since, which not only helps me stay in shape but also clears my mind. I went suit shopping, treated myself to a massage, and spent more time with friends and family, people I had isolated myself from in the relationship, which should have been a huge red flag. I've also started seeing a therapist weekly, and it's been incredibly helpful in processing everything and making decisions. I plan to keep going even after this is all settled, as it's helping me grow as a person. As for the big picture, I'm still living in the house with my ex. She's staying in the guest bedroom, and we only talk about basic things like feeding the dogs. I think she's a terrible person, and in her mind, This is somehow all my fault. It's frustrating because she accuses me of poor communication, but then used that as an excuse to cheat without ever talking to me about her unhappiness. I've stopped trying to reason with her. She's being unreasonable. I've begun the process of listing the house for sale. I contacted a real estate agent who gave us a price I was happy with, but she insisted I contact 2 other agents, including one recommended by her friend. I made all the calls, set up the appointments, and met with the agents. Even though it's not fair, I'm doing it because I just want this chapter to end. I've been willing to do whatever it takes to move on and get out of here. After meeting with 3 agents, we ultimately decided to go with the first one. Pictures were taken on Sunday, and by that night, the house was officially listed for sale. The open house is set for next Saturday, and it's already getting a lot of attention online. As for the horse, she'll be taking it to a barn, location still to be determined. I spoke to her about the dogs and offered to take one or none, but she insisted on taking all 3 to keep them together. They're a happy bunch, and I don't want to fight over keeping one if it means breaking them up. Plus, it selfishly gives me the opportunity to start fresh. Unexpectedly, I met someone about a week ago, and we've been spending a lot of time together. I'm not expecting anything serious right now, but I'm genuinely enjoying getting to know her. She's been through a similar situation in the past, and it's been helpful having someone to talk to who truly understands. It's eye-opening to spend time with a kind, thoughtful, and independent woman, and it's making me realize just how narcissistic my ex was, completely self-centered, manipulative, and dependent. I should have listened to the warnings from family and friends long ago. I fell into the trap of living in a simple routine, thinking everything was fine. But I wasn't really enjoying life. I was just in a comfortable situation, nice house, lots of land, great pets. I didn't want to rock the boat, so I stayed in that pattern. It's only now, stepping back, that I realize how unhealthy that was. Some might call it wasted time, but I'm using it as a learning experience. I will not ignore red flags in the future. I won't fall into the simplicity trap again. I'll make sure to stay connected with friends and family moving forward. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who commented on my original post. I shared it on Reddit because I had no idea what to do, and the support I received from complete strangers has been incredible. I read every single comment, and they've all helped me get to where I am now. I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life, wherever it leads me. Truly, thank you all. Update 4. Hello again, it's been a while since I posted an update. It's hard to believe that all of this unfolded more than 4 months ago. Time has really made a difference, and things have improved so much. I hope this update helps anyone going through a similar situation to see that time truly does heal. I continued living in the house with my ex until mid-May. It was tough being under the same roof, knowing that my old life was over. We were more like roommates who didn't like each other. I tried to avoid her as much as possible, but that wasn't always easy. We stayed in separate bedrooms, but the dogs roamed free at night. After the first few weeks, she stopped staying in the guest room, and it was almost like we were just coexisting in silence. The constant texting and phone calls didn't stop, though. I'm not sure if they decided not to pursue a relationship, but they stayed friends, I guess. I didn't care enough to ask for the details. She moved out in mid-May with 2 of the 3 dogs. Saying goodbye to them was heartbreaking, the loss was just as painful as losing a family member. In the last month we shared the house, I met up with her and the dogs a few times at the dog park. They recognized me, and though they were happy to see me, it was clear they were adjusting just fine without me. That made me feel a little better. There wasn't much conversation with my ex, mostly just small talk about the dog's adjustment. She moved to a rundown house in a not-so-great neighborhood, but at least it had a yard for the dogs, though it wasn't fenced. Last I heard, she was working on getting the fence built. During this time, I really threw myself into the gym, hitting it every day. I also focused on my side hustle because I knew things were going to get expensive, and I wanted to be financially prepared. Between March and June 15th, when I moved out, I made 6 figures in sales from my side business. I made no major purchases during that time, so I was able to save a solid amount, in addition to the proceeds from selling the house. That put me in a comfortable position to buy a new place in a better area with a good-sized yard for the dog I kept. Selling the old house was easy, but buying the new one was a nightmare. Luckily, the buyers of my old house allowed me to rent it back for a month until June 15th. I made offers on 5 different houses before finally having my last offer accepted at the end of May. I'm so glad to be out of the old place. The memories there haunted me daily, especially after she left with the other 2 dogs. It felt empty. The move itself was a pain, but I had a lot of support from friends and family. I've been in my new place for a little over a month now, and it's starting to feel like home. I'm still seeing the same woman, who's now my official girlfriend. I live a bit closer to her, which has been nice. She's been incredibly supportive through everything, giving me space when I needed it and helping me through the emotional ups and downs. I've never been with someone who communicates as well as she does, and it's made me a better communicator as well. My emotional intelligence has definitely grown in the process. Overall, life is good. This whole experience was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, but I feel blessed that it happened. I almost married someone who was self-centered, ungrateful, and emotionally manipulative. I had gotten so comfortable in that routine, avoiding disruption to my animals' lives and the house, that I was willing to stay in a miserable situation. Now, I'm focusing on myself, understanding my own wants and needs. And I'll continue to provide the best life I can for my dog. I do think about my ex sometimes. There are plenty of flashbacks, both good and bad. My new therapist has been instrumental in helping me realize that I probably won't ever get the apology I want from her. She's too proud to admit what she did was wrong. My communication with her has been minimal. I don't plan on seeing her or the other 2 dogs again. I've accepted that it's what's best for everyone. If anyone has questions or if I missed anything, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer. This chapter is closed for me, and I don't plan on posting about it again. Thanks for all the support and for following this journey.